welcome to Beacon Hills, where everyone went crazy this week. And no, it wasn't in the water, it was in the flies. The big, nasty, burrowing into open wounds flies. Yuck. Tonight we are discussing 3.22, Devoid. And it's not just Lilith and I hosting tonight. We have a special guest, Kristen, whose specialty is gift recaps for a wide variety of shows. And so she will tell us a little bit later about all of her gift caps and where you can find them.
Awesome. Kind of excited to have a guest here on Teen Wolf. The Welcome to Beacon Hills podcast. Don't really know what to expect just yet, but I guess we'll see. This week's episode, I'm back to being confused, especially like the end scene. I was like, what? We only have 2 episodes left.
See, and I was like, what? We got Styles back? We still have 2 episodes left.
I don't know what to make of it, but I do know that Jeff did write this episode, and we had a director that was Christian Taylor. He only usually does about 1 or 2 per season, and I guess this was on his rotation. He usually comes more towards the beginning of the season, but, you know, gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, it's definitely an interesting one to direct because everybody was going crazy in every scene. Things were changing so fast. I couldn't keep up with this episode.
I know, but I will say that, I love the use of light in this episode. It was, daytime for most of the episode, and it was streaming through the windows. But they were also still playing with the shadows because, everybody was going crazy. And that's what denotes crazy in a cinematic motif kind of way. So
definitely on this show it does. I will say it was kind of interesting how it went from day to night to day.
Insta-dawn! Or the Oni.
Insta-dark.
Insta-dawn, insta-dark, insta-dawn.
Yeah, it was like Scott and Kira are driving at night. It's nighttime because first off they were going to bed and it was nighttime, and then it was daytime in Derek's loft, and then it was nighttime with the Oni. I had no idea what the heck was going on.
Well, the Oni bring darkness with them for that whole thing, but everything else was just like, okay, we don't know how to keep track of time, period, on Time Wolf. On Teen Wolf. Time Wolf, oh my gosh, did I really?
It was definitely interesting.
So, was it interesting enough to take a bump in our ratings, or are we pretty much the same?
It was interesting enough that our ratings went down.
Ouch!
Yeah, and it's not a big thing. We've dropped to a 0.8 in our demo, which is, I believe, one of the lowest of this season. We usually are at a 0.9, which we were last week. We also went down to 1.796 million. So we did go down substantially, and it would be very, very nice if we could go back up for the last 2 episodes. So tell all your friends that they need to be watching Teen Wolf.
If they have a Nielsen's box. If not, live tweet, because Nielsen's does actually track Twitter. So, there's that.
Very true. Yeah, the last time we were at a 0.8 was episode 16, Illuminated. So, actually, I guess the first part of the season we had 3 0.8s. So, and it's online for 3A.
So the synopsis for this episode is Dark Styles wants to cause chaos, strife, and pain, and boy does he ever, while leaving the audience scratching their head in confusion again.
I really do think that instead of keep saying, chaos, strife, and pain, they need to say chaos, strife, confusion, and pain. Because that pretty much sums up the entire season.
Yeah, definitely.
So tonight we have a very special guest. We have Kristen here, and she does a lot of gift recaps, which are really funny, and I think that you would really love them. You should check them out, and I'll let her tell you what that is.
The gift recaps are basically show between about 8, and sometimes up to 17. The 17 is the most I've ever had in a GIF recap. And they're all animated GIFs, and sometimes they have text on them, but then I also write a recap to fill in all the blanks. And then I also include lots of tweets from all the fans. And so sometimes I include tons of tweets from the fans if the tweets are really, really funny. And I do about one show each day, Monday through Friday. I was thinking of starting on another show on Wednesday. I don't have a show on Wednesday right now. I link to all of these, all of my work from my freelance writer Facebook page. And that's facebook.com/Kristen Deer. And that's KristenYerr. And then I also have my Twitter account, and that's whenever I use tweets, I tweet everybody who was included in the gift cap, and you never know when I'm spying, and I might quote you. And so all you have to do is use the hashtag for the show, and watching all night, basically. And my Twitter account is KristenHead. I have my blog is at kristenhead.blogspot.com.
Her GIF recaps are hilarious. So actually how I met Kristen is because she tweeted me about something that I tweeted that made it into one of them, and it was like, wow, people are funny out there. So there's always a great selection of tweets that people have that's hilarious. I highly recommend that you check it out. And like she said, she does so many shows, so guaranteed she does something that you liked. Time for our episode review, and we are going to start with our favorite things. And just like we normally do, we're just going to take turns talking about what, our favorite things were. And Kristen, since you're our guest, you can go first.
One of my favorite things was actually the first scene. There were like 4 favorite things right away. So it was basically that whole first scene. The first one where the Nagatsune, first he, tricks Sheriff Stilinski into thinking that Styles is actually there and, is going to go willingly. He breaks out, and then 2, when manipulates electricity and the thing to which the electricity is attached, pulling the gun away, which would be really cool to have that power. And then when he flips Derek around like he's a paper doll. And then the non-Mexican dad standoff. And and then Dark Styles' enjoyment of the standoff. And his little smirk when Stilinski first pulls the gun on Chris, and Styles gets that little smirk like, ooh, I need my popcorn, That was awesome.
Play number 4.
But the only thing about that, though, is, why was he, playing around with them so much when he could have easily destroyed his chances of being protected by them?
Yeah, I want to add one other part to that scene, because it is my number 4 also. And that is, Allison is the one who figures it out. I love smart Allison.
I'm going to add to that scene as well, and I'm going to quote Dark Styles. Not exactly. I was hoping to have Scott here, but I'm glad you all have your guns out. But you're not here to kill me. You're here to protect.
The whole thing was just fantastic. It was a great way to open.
I'm just going to bring this up. There really is a secret, and Style really knows it. I thought that was all false bravado.
Me too. And I wish it was.
I know, right?
I was shocked.
And that's going to make Melissa potentially look like a clown. I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, I don't want to be having douche mama. I just don't.
There was that thing that came up later, though, where Stilinski told Scott's dad that he should tell him everything. So it's like, maybe the only thing she did wrong was not saying anything.
I cheated on number 5, and I just summed it up. Everything Derek and Argent.
That was one of my favorite things.
Me too.
First off, we here at Welcome to Beacon Hills love Derek and Argent.
We do.
We just love their dynamic, so it's going to come up anyway.
See, my cheat was putting that as my character interaction.
We'll probably be talking about that too. There was a lot of good character interaction in here, but I just thought that was fantastic. I agree with Tyler H. when he was saying that it's one of his favorite scenes to do because it really did let him explore a different dynamic than brooding or sexy, which is his two seems to be default, or fighting.
Yeah, I was going to say, or hurt.
Or hurt, yes. We can't forget Derek torture porn from last season. But yeah, it just was fun to see him embracing the inner psycho. And that great big grin of his in Arjun's face, and he's just like, and then we're going to have your daughter watch.
The reference to the games, you know, chess being a Styles game, and then, you know, not a Fox game, and then later on we've got Styles playing a game with, you know, Mummy Face, and, you know, that's not a Fox game either. You know, that's got rules. A Fox game's got no rules, right? And so I'm thinking, is that a Reese game or something? And then when Styles kind of knocks all the game pieces off, then he's, you know, gotten rid of the rules, so he's able to get out of there. So I kind of I liked that whole reference to all the games.
I thought it was fun that they brought back Go because that was Satomi's game. So it was like, and she used that game to keep herself under control so that she wouldn't wolf out.
Don't hate me, but I'm gonna go with the Scott and Kira. I'm gonna go with the Scott and Kira cuddling because Scott was just such a gentleman, and then the music was actually pretty spot on if you listen to the lyrics. And usually Teen Wolf is like, no, it's just some poppy stuff that has no relevance. So I'm just all for stuff that actually has meaning. And I'm not a shipper, but if I was a shipper, I would ship this like FedEx, like for real.
Number 6, which is replacing my number 4, is Sheriff tells the review board to cram it. And I also love his reaction when Douche Dad was talking, and Douche Dad goes, I have a few words of my own. Sheriff's like, fantastic. Which is exactly what I was saying, in the same tone.
When Isaac tased the bros.
Next one would be, I'm gonna go ahead and go Dark Styles and Melissa. When she was talking to Deaton about the paralyzing agent for his body and then his mouth, but more specifically, when Dark Styles starts to cry and then she comes over and pulls the thing off and he goes, really, Melissa?
Oh, that's my number 2. Loved it. Everything about it was phenomenal. All right, my number 3, which I think is going to be different than yours, Lilith. Kira and Allison fight the werewolves, complete with the weapon switch. I love the weapon switch. I adore it. I loved it in Arrow. I love it here. I liked it so much, I was like, ooh, that's a Bamford move.
Yeah, I hated that. Actually hated it. Yeah, it was stupid, because Kira's weapon of choice, what she's drawn to is her sword. She doesn't know how to fire a crossbow. And I hate crossbows because it's a cheat, but whatever. I'm just gonna pipe down about that as an archer.
The thing that bugs me is actually the crossbow with Kira, because that's another Chuck download move that I still will never get over. I hate it with a passion, so much so that she is in my when writers screw over good characters article. But I adored Kira and Allison working together.
It felt too forced.
They've been setting up Kira and Allison as being competitors, as two people who were going to end up fighting over Scott, fighting over their place in the pack, and all this other stuff. And basically all that junk that they do to female characters when they can't figure out, how they're going to talk to each other. So I love that they decided to make them allies. And if both of them continue on the show, I want them to be allies.
So number 2, I like how they used the Canema venom to paralyze Styles, and then on top of that, Lydia goes into his mind and calls out for Jackson. So kind of 2 Jackson things there.
I guess that was his cameo. I thought we were gonna have old footage of Jackson, because there's been that rumor that he's supposed to be coming back. Conehead's supposed to be coming back. I was like, is this it? Is this it? Oh, they cheated me.
And a Sky Piper from London, and they're going to talk about their supernatural experiences because Teen Wolf is going to be picked up by Skype that week. Yeah, that's how it's going to work. Besides just the Kanema and Jackson, they did a really nice job with continuity in this one. Because we go back to that Argent binding ritual from, what was that, season 1? When Allison had to get out, we have Talia's claws coming back, even though I don't understand how Peter ever let them out of his sight. So, Flo is doing her job in Teen Wolf.
I want to talk about Lydia and Aiden driving in the car. For as much as I don't like the twins, and I don't like Aiden with Lydia, he is always his funniest when he is with Lydia. It just works. And I just love that she's just driving around, and he's like, hey, we've just made 4 rights, and that makes a circle.
My favorite line from him tonight was, well, maybe the GPS would work better if it was on.
Oh, Lydia.
Oh, you're brilliant. I love it. I gotta say that I don't mind the twins. I don't see any real purpose for them except to add eye candy, but I don't mind them at all. And when Aiden's snarky, he can snark at the level of Peter, and that is hard to do.
That's just my only problem with the twins, is they suck up screen time.
Well, they killed people, and I just don't understand why anyone likes them.
Yeah, they did do that for sure. I really love Argent, and he killed people. And I really hate Gerard, he killed people. But I really like Jackson, and he killed people.
Yeah, it just depends on the backstory, I guess.
No. And I adore Peter. He's the most evil one on the whole show, besides Gerard, of course. My number 2, my replacement number 2, is Peter saves Lydia by the Banshee screaming. He bansheed out so much that even Scott heard him. One, I like it because Peter and Lydia have the most complicated relationship of anybody in the screen. And so when they're working together, they bring all that baggage in there, but it's not that typical teenage love romance baggage that we get for everything else. So it's interesting baggage. The second reason I like it is because it really, really, really looks like Peter cares about Lydia and saving Lydia in there. But then 2 seconds later, my brain went into gear and I said, wait a minute.
He saved her because he needs her.
The name of his daughter.
Yeah.
It's totally selfish, manipulative Peter. And I fell for him. I love Peter, and I thought that was really a good way to make Peter look sympathetic until you thought about it and went, yeah, no, typical Peter.
My number 1 is kind of obvious, but I loved when Styles barfed himself out. And then having it, turn into, you think, bad Styles, but then it's, I guess, good Styles. Unless they trick us again, and then I'll just go insane.
Personally, I think that all of this is still in Styles' head. I'm going with that theory now. I wasn't going with that theory before, but I am so confused at this point that it has to be a hallucination.
Cool scene anyway.
Definitely a cool visual.
The visual. That visual was so disgusting. Oh my goodness. What are they doing? And then to see him rise from the floorboards?
Oh, that was really cool.
Oh, that was awesome.
All the things I love about sci-fi right there.
Yeah, it was actually a vast improvement upon their special effects guys. That's the coolest one to date.
I agree. Yeah. I thought it was just really well done, and I didn't spend the time thinking, man, I wish they had a bigger budget. It was a great scene.
Yeah, definitely. I knew somebody was gonna have that. So, my number 1, this is a toughie. A moment. And it's when Peter shows up and the ominous music plays and they open the door and I'm just like, I couldn't help myself.
And he's smirking the whole time. He's got that smile going. I couldn't tweet fast enough. My number 1 was by far the best moment in the entire episode for me. And it is when Argent blows out Derek's lighter.
I should have put that somewhere on my list.
The biggest laugh I've had all week. Into the issues, the things that bothered us. So who wants to go first on that one?
So the whole thing where Scott and Lydia get caught up in those false thoughts and memories side of Styles' mind, and it all gets kind of muddy. You know, first they're strapped to the beds, they escape that, then they're trapped again, and it kind of seems like sometimes they want to show certain images, but they sacrifice a bit of the story at the same time, you know? And this kind of goes back to that first scene that was so cool. They showed all these awesome images, but it kind of muddied the waters at the same time, because why did he do all that stuff when he could have, you know, where nobody would want to protect him from the Oni? They've done that a few times where they kind of get caught up in all this weird stuff that they want to show, but it gets a little bit lost, you know?
Yeah, I was wondering why Lydia went into that moment. And then, of course, I was, like, cursing Scott for going into his moment because I hated it the first time.
Which is a really odd moment to choose out of everything.
Yeah, they both were very odd.
I don't know, Lydia kind of makes sense. They wanted to keep her off kilter, and that's like her most painful like memory probably. I mean, that is the fallout of everything that's like wrong with Lydia's life now, is when Peter bit her and she started to become a banshee. She raised him from the dead. She went a little crazy. She lost her standing and status at school. And, you know, she lost Jackson.
It's my favorite and my least favorite, because I mentioned how I liked that Jackson was mentioned. And yet, you know, it's part of what I didn't like.
I didn't have a lot to not like. It's mostly Kira stuff. We've already kind of talked about that Allison and Kira scene, so I'll let that go. I'll start with Scott and Kira racing to the loft. Like, did we really? Scott's dirt bike. Like, really? You guys know how I feel about his doggone dirt bike. Like, I don't need to hear it. I don't need to see it. It is awful. Get a car, Scott. Get a car.
Not to mention, apparently Kira can run faster than it, so...
Just jump on her back, Scott.
Yeah, go for it. That was filler scene for no purpose whatsoever, because we see it twice.
Yes.
We see them going to his house, and then we see him going to the loft. Just keep going, folks. Just keep going. Not to mention that, according to where we were in the last episode, Allison texts Scott that Styles is at Derek's loft. And so in this one, we come back and they go to his house before they go to the loft? What? What is up with that? That timeline makes no sense to me. You know, you would think that since they had just had that big conversation with Mama Fox and his s3e dad, and, you know, they had gotten together, and they had had that conversation about how she said they had to kill Scott, and Scott's like, no, we'll find a way, and then they get the text, and it's all dramatic, and they're leaving to go rescue Styles after making a pit stop to have a nap at Scott's house. Really? I'm gonna go with any secret that's gonna make Scott hate his mom and make douche dad look like less of a douche. Any possible story that comes out of this is automatically gonna be in my, what the heck were you thinking when you came up with this plan? I love Mama. I love Mama McCall. She needs to stay the Mama that everybody looks up to. Let's face it, there aren't a whole lot of people who, first off, have two parents on the show, and usually at least one of them, if they're not dead, is just terrible. So, we cannot take away from Mama McCall. She has got to be our rock. She's got to be the den mother still. So, no secrets that make her look bad. And certainly no rift between Scott and his mom. Because the power of Teen Wolf lies in the fact that the parents and the kids can work together. It's the most positive showing of parental relationships with teenagers that we have on TV. And anything that ruins that will basically make Teen Wolf less special.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm kind of confused by the whole reason the Nogutsune possessed Styles and caused all that trouble and everything. Was that just to get Malia's name? Because it seems like as soon as Lydia said the name, then he puked Styles out. So why did he do that? Did he want the name too, or what? What was going on there? That was really confusing. It was just a really confusing part right there.
Yeah, I didn't think of it as being part of Malia at all, except that it was that break in conversation so that we could push Malia off into the next episode, for me. I didn't really think of it like that. My problem is, you know, Nagatsune, first off, he's supposed to be on the warpath because somebody hurt his feelings. That didn't happen in the last episode. So, he really doesn't have a whole lot of, he pretty much killed everybody who needed to be killed in the last one. Nobody was, hurting his feelings and whatever Kira was spouting, 3 episodes ago. Then, in the loft scene, did the Nagatsune mess with their minds to make them fight for him, or were they just trying to protect Styles? If it ever comes out that the Nagatsune is being controlled by somebody, it would be Peter or Deaton, in my opinion.
Or Gerard.
One of my theories that the whole thing is controlled by Peter.
If anybody could do it, I would believe that Peter could do it over Gerard, simply because Gerard is a completely trippy mess at this point. Yeah, I just don't see the Nagatsune having a Malia connection unless it's a power thing over, a Peter controlling it kind of thing. Still going with the Nagatsune is there's more than one. It absolutely has to have a trick. So.
Well, you said the Nagatsune didn't have its feelings hurt by the first time, but what about the second Nagatsune that left the little bloody moss that Deaton went to go get?
Yeah, so that was my other question, because she said that she buried it and that it was awakened by their sacrifice.
Yep.
But it had already been back in Beacon Hills at the time that Chris Argent was making that deal. So is that the hint that there is more than one Nagatsune, which is my theory right now? Or does Mama Fox just not know what she's talking about?
Or Jeff just forgot. I guess I'm going to talk about, I'm torn, anybody going to talk about the flies? The Yakamura family just makes no sense. From, the way that they're portraying Kira 1 second to making her a plot device the second. Mama Yakamura, okay, the foxtails aren't thoroughly explained to my satisfaction. And then the confrontation between her and Styles, just get it together. I was excited for them, and now I'm just ugh, go away.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that her last tail that he cut himself open with? Why didn't he break it? Why did he just throw it away? Is she, running around with 18 flies in her now, or what's going on? I gave the fly an award. I did.
I did too.
That's how goofy everything has been. I called it the least industrious insect award because Scott's fly wasn't even trying to get through the mountain ash. It just went to one window. It didn't try any other cracks and nooks and crannies. Come on, fly.
Yeah, I called it the lazy fly. I had that on a list of things I didn't like. I just didn't mention that. But yeah, I called it the lazy fly.
I love how Peter was like, you should cover that up before it gets infected. Not 5 seconds later, buzz, buzz.
How in the world does Allison not wake up when he's cuffing her ankles to the bed?
Maybe that's their type of thing that they're into, Dawn. Don't judge them.
Well, if that was what they're into, she was mightily clothed for it.
Well, that whole thing, though, I didn't like how she didn't notice that she was completely oblivious to the fact that he was different at all, you know?
There was some weird stuff going on here that made me go, yeah, no.
Now, I'm just going to say Allison's saving grace was figuring it out and disabling the fire pin. But when they played in the previously, do you think he's feeling pain? I was just like, oh, dummy Allison again. Man, why do they keep rubbing that salt in my wound?
Well, at least Argent, continuity, Flo. Flo is the star of this episode because he talks about her being the matriarch of the Argent family again. And I was like, yes. Can we please remember this for season 4?
Yes, yes.
All right, my other one, and there will be some people who disagree with me. It just always happens. But everybody became an idiot. They were either crazy or stupid. Seriously, Scott has to be reminded that he's an alpha twice? Oh! Aiden needs Dark Styles to, draw him a roadmap to figure out that he's talking about his twin brother, Ethan. I mean, seriously, I thought brother would give it away, but apparently it didn't. Lydia can't drive, period. If you're freaking out, you don't step on the gas. What the heck is that?
I thought that was her banshee power, in all fairness, though.
Argent, the king of the hunters, trained since he was a kid to be a hunter, doesn't check his weapon before going into a dangerous situation, everybody became an idiot, and I'm not really sure. And then you have Lydia, Scott, and Deaton, who play like a 5-minute what-if game. If you count the what-if games, if you count how many times there was what-if, if you put it on a bingo card for a drinking game, you'd be smashed in 5 minutes. And then Isaac, I think I should make a joke here, but I'm not funny. He comes off like an idiot there, too. And I don't understand why possessed or in the presence of possessed equals stupid, and I don't like it.
Main characters.
Scott, he was kind of weak this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He needed lots of other people telling him what to do. You know, Peter, Lydia told him what to do. He was even late to the fight at the beginning.
He totally is letting Deaton string him around. If Deaton's not possessed by another Nuggetsini or evil or whatever, then it will be a surprise to me, because he was totally pushing Scott to act, and not think beforehand. I mean, every 10 seconds, the man's going, hey, we gotta make a decision. Hey, we're running out of time.
I think he got fired from being an emissary. If his track record was anything like this.
I can go with that. Scott was being led by everyone, and he couldn't come up with anything on his own. The only real contribution that Scott made in there was obviously his claws, and then his howl. And I'm really super glad that it was Scott that got Styles' attention instead of anyone else. I just think that works really well with the brotherhood foundation of the show.
I did like the confirmation that Styles is actually, like, even though he's human, like, he still is a part of the pack, like, because that's what all the fans think. So I'm glad that they think that too. That might negate my theory from last week, but I don't think so.
But yeah, Scott was pretty weak this time, but Styles, it is all about him. It is his episode once again. Even though everybody's going crazy, you know, he is the lead crazy.
I still want my skinny defenseless Styles. I don't like this Styles. I mean, I like it for Dylan O'Brien, but the story narrative, like, because it can only end a few ways, and I'm scared for all three of them, honestly.
I have to say, though, that, you know, skinny defenseless Styles is now being replaced by pale and sickly evil Styles.
Definitely.
Start on Allison.
Right, Allison.
What can we say? We saw we saw three Allisons this time. We got Kick Butt Allison.
My favorite.
Smart Allison.
Second favorite.
You know, my favorite might be Smart Allison over Kick Butt at this point, now that we have more than one Kick Butt female. And then we got Stupid Allison, who gets herself chained up by her stalker boyfriend who keeps breaking into her house.
Yeah, she totally shouldn't have gave him the code.
No, not at all. I don't know. I still hope she's possessed. It'll explain a lot. So what did you think of Allison this week?
There wasn't that much to say about her because there wasn't much of her in this episode, but she got to, she was kind of a dummy on the one part where she didn't realize what was going on with Isaac. And then, but I did think it was kind of funny when she got to bonk him on the head. And I did kind of like when she was fighting with Kira, the trickster version of Allison. That was kind of cool, but only for a few seconds.
All right, that leads us to Derek.
I like that they tried to give Derek something different to do to stretch his range, but at the same time, like, it was written in a way that was, you know, you could take it to be funny or you could try to take it to be serious. And I just think that that's a disservice to Tyler. He really does deserve to, like, really have something, like, maybe not quite as deep as Dark Styles, but something a little more. He got the upper hand on Chris, but not really.
Right. Yeah, he was taken down in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want Derek to win. And I don't want him to kill Arjun or anything, but I want him to win. And that's the biggest thing about Derek. He needs a win sometimes.
Yes, he does.
That was the most we've seen of him so far this season, or at least in 3B.
Will say that I find Derek still the most improved character of this team of the season. I really do appreciate how he is knowledge guy. In that scene that we haven't mentioned yet with the chessboard, where he is focused on using his brain to come up with an answer, and really he's given it his all, and he's just so much improved now that they've decided that he actually should have a brain. and not just be the person that gets beat up all the time. And I very much appreciate that. Lydia, the hero of common sense.
She's also kind of annoying, though. So she's so completely ruled by teenage hormones and emotions. And, I mean, she's just drippy with emotions, you know? And
that's a good way of putting it.
And so it causes her spidey sense to just go wild, and she has absolutely no control over it. And it just, you know, it's annoying. But, you know, I like that she's smart. I wish she could just harness that, you know, get control over it.
Yeah, she's the most flighty genius on TV at this point.
She needs to get control of her banshee powers ASAP. And she needs to, like, totally just have it out with Peter. Like, she needs to use her banshee powers to, like, hang him out a window or something and let him feel terrified like he terrified her. You know what I mean?
They need to have a Derek overhaul for Lydia next time.
All the secondary characters showed up with the exception of Mystery Motorcycle Chick. I just want to talk about, like, my two favorite people to talk about because they're evil adjacent, which is, of course, Deaton and Peter. They were actually, quote-unquote, helpful, and that makes it very interesting because I don't know what Deaton wants, but I know what Peter wants. He wants power, and he wants to know Malia, like, what the deal with Malia is. So my question is, what does Deaton want?
I honestly think that we need to find out that he has been possessed by something, or maybe Deucalion had a point. Maybe the emissaries were not the, beneficial kind of good guys that we've been led to believe. I mean, to be totally honest, the people who told us that they were the good guys was Deaton.
Yeah, when somebody has to say, trust me, usually you can't. In TV especially.
He says he is completely suspicious. Don't know that I trust where he's going, especially with the things that he's been doing so far.
Especially when Morel said that she was there to keep the balance. So if she was willing to kill Styles for the quote-unquote good of everything and the balance, and Deaton wants to keep him alive. But who can trust Morel at this point?
Still know nothing about him.
And the way Deaton and Peter were on opposite sides on turning Styles into a werewolf.
But also about Peter, you remember I said that, he can't get close to Melissa, so what's the next best thing? Styles.
Mm-hmm.
So if he helps save Styles, that's putting Scott on at ease a little bit, because Scott's trusting and forgiving and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like it worked on multiple levels in Peter's advantage. I think that's exactly where they're going. Any other characters you guys want to talk about? Well, of course, the villain of the week is Dark Styles. Again, like, when is it not?
And flies. Can't forget flies.
Always with the flies.
Oh, because those flies were the biggest creepy thing on my screen today. And Mummy Mouth, of course, too.
It still wasn't as gross as freaking Oliver coughing it up with blood, though. Like, that will remain
100%.
in my nightmares.
Although, I have to say, wiggling through that IV vein thing, yeah.
Ugh. Another best reason to fast forward.
Yeah, there's not really much to say about the villain except,
Dylan O'Brien rocks?
Yeah. I don't know which one it is. I don't know who the hidden villain is. I don't know how many Nugget Cities there are. Whatever.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes to go, guys. Like, we don't know if we have regular Styles back. Is it Dark Styles playing another game? Like, what the heck?
Well, when villains can create lots of other villains, then that's a pretty good super villain.
Exactly. And quite frankly, are we done with the flies?
No.
It felt like we were done with flies, but, we seem to have a phobia of flying insects.
Butterflies! Fireflies! Regular flies! As long as it's a fly, it's bad.
Yeah.
So did anything really happen? Peter knows about Malia, and we potentially have regular Styles back, and Dark Styles is on the loose with Lydia.
Yeah, and then we've got that secret huddling over our head.
Oh, I was just going to say one thing that's kind of interesting is that even if it's good Styles now, it's not the original body of Styles, so there could be any kind of weird thing going on with him, and we might not even find it out until later. And also, when he threw himself up, there was like some black smoke there, kind of like the Oni, and I thought that was interesting.
It is time for episode award.
Alright, so let's start with the grade.
I say B+.
I'll say a C+.
I'm gonna go right in between you with a B-.
So who was your MVP, guys?
What do you think, Kristen?
Dark Styles.
That is probably 90% of the fandom's pick, absolutely.
It's a tie, actually, between Dark Styles and Lydia. I was just happy to have Lydia around, and she was actually useful, and she actually had a purpose. Well, they were trying to give her a purpose, and I like that, because we need that from Lydia.
It was not a tie for me. I picked Lydia. So, MVP for me is not necessarily my favorite character, because my favorite character is Dark Styles, without doubt. The pivotal character, the character that the episode could not do without for me this time is Lydia, because she had all of the answers. And if she hadn't had all the answers, they'd be still tied to that freaking bed and the 5-point restraint. Styles as a whole is the season MVP by far.
Definitely. And I get kind of tired of saying that, but it is his season. So obviously he's going to be MVP most of the time, but it is nice to find somebody different or something different every now and then.
Sure, to pick us the MVP this time.
Best character interaction?
Derek and Chris. But I also liked between Agent McCall and Stilinski, the one you were talking about earlier.
It was a 3-way tie. I'm sorry. Melissa and Dark Styles, Chris and Derek, and then I really liked the soft little moment between Chris and Allison when he says, "That's why you're the matriarch of the Argent family."
Best character interaction, I'm going to read it just like I said it. Dark Styles and take your pick. Doesn't matter. Just take your pick. Because every scene he was in, I was like, Dark Styles and Melissa, Dark Styles and Sheriff, Dark Styles and Argent. But my runner-up is Allison and Kira or Derek and Argent.
So is your best reason to watch different from your MVP or character interactions?
The best reason to watch this is that every character gets to act out of character. So you get to see a different side of these characters that we haven't seen yet. We get, obviously, Crazy Derek. We've had Crazy Styles. Even in the small moments, you've got the two twins going after each other. The little parts that we probably could have gone away with actually showed an awful lot in character motivation. Because we've got Isaac, who is so desperate for family, the whole time desperate for family. And here are these two characters that have taken away 2/3 of his family. Of course he wants retribution, and he's not getting it, and everybody is trying to make them into heroes, and he can't get beyond that. And I think that this was a fabulous way of being able to show that. And then you get, for the first time, really, we get Ethan being resentful of Aiden, and it's kind of been building throughout this whole season. And so I liked how they just pretty much said straight out what we were building to the whole time. And I just think that by infecting these characters, they did a great job of allowing us to see more of their motivation, more of what they're feeling with characters that we very rarely get to see much of anything about.
I also like that the main gang was all there. I mean, like we said, all the secondary characters were there, and then the main characters were there, and it didn't feel like overstuffed like the last time when they tried to do that.
You mean when they lumped, 12 characters into a subplot that made no sense?
Yeah. So, does anybody have miscellaneous awards? Because I do. Actually, I have fun facts. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different for the miscellaneous section. I am going to do fun facts. So, cause for some reason, even though I only watched it twice, I was hyper aware of what was going on. So in the car, the song playing in Lydia's car is, by an artist called The Playful Knight, and the song is The Only Thing Constant. Now, the only problem with this is it's actually non-existent.
Okay.
So, the Playful Knight as in, maybe the Playful Fox, and then the only thing constant in the universe is change. And, change can be considered chaos and all that stuff. So, little meta I'm working out.
Cool.
And then Lydia's license plate, cause I'm obsessed with little small details like that. It's 6IMX321.
Good to know that.
Fascinating.
It's my contribution, don't judge me.
No judgment here. My most in need of a home security overhaul. Argent's apartment. He's an arms dealer, and everybody and their cousin breaks into his house. Now, granted, it doesn't help when your daughter's giving away the code to everybody, but Derek broke into his house the time before. Duh, award. Lydia reminds Scott that he's an alpha and tells him to act like one. Come on, Scott, we believe in you. You can do this. Best acting goes to Styles crying to Dark Styles sneering. Absolutely. The Say What Award? Lydia suggests they call in Peter to help. Really, Lydia? When was the last time involving Peter actually worked for you? Biggest heartbreak? Sheriff saying, "You're not my son."
So yeah, that's everything.
So thank you so much for being with us here, Kristen. It was great having you. Loved hearing all your insights and your theories and everything. And for anybody who has not gone to it, you really do need to go to our website and look at those gift recaps because they are really hilarious.
Thank you so much for having me on.
This week on Twitter, I shirked my job. I'll just admit it, straight up. I was super busy with class this week. So I only looked at Twitter immediately after the episode first aired. So I don't have as many of the really great ones I have, although there were still definitely a lot of great ones. I have two from our official people. The first one is from Ian Bowen, who plays Peter. And he says, "Relax. I'm from the health department," which I thought was a great callback to the line he gave Lydia's mom. And I was like, yeah, we need some health department here, shutting down whatever's causing all these flies. Seriously, quarantine the boy. And speaking of flies, the official Teen Wolf site said, "This isn't Lord of the Flies. What the heck?" Or something like it. And then, as far as fans go, from @LauraSunshineX, I really didn't sign up for any of this. Actually, I don't know what I signed up for, but I know it wasn't any of this. And then Jordan A. Lovely 1 says, "That friggin' tree needs to burn, even if it's in his mind right now." I 100% agree. Let's get rid of the Nemeton. Seriously, why haven't they tried torturing it? It worked in Scarecrow for Supernatural. So hey, just, chop it into pieces, turn it into firewood. I don't care. Get rid of the thing. It's certainly not causing anything good. @RBAM_CEO. Where is Mr. Miyagi when you need him? I love that reference, even though it's actually Daniel that catches the fly. @Jackie Heller said, "Peter Hale sass is the best sass." You are so right. Absolutely right. @Ruthie_Payne1D, we had a great conversation, and in part of the conversation she wrote, "Yes, I'm going to need to make one of those boards to figure it all out, like the one in Styles' room." Then we had a conversation about how it was going to be all red, and how we really do think that every fan in Teen Wolf should make their own wall of weird, covered in red, and send the picture in. And then @Lindsay Favreau. Oh, this one comes based off of Dylan O'Brien, who plays Styles' tweet, and in it he teased that 6 main characters were going to die. And she wrote, "6 main characters? This is not Game of Thrones, Jeff Davis." So those are my favorite tweets of the night.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't actually get a chance to get on Twitter much this week. I've been super, super backed up and busy with work. It's my busy season. But you guys know I always have time for my Tumblr, people. So, sorry about that. Let's see. What are my favorite Teen Wolf likes this week? I saw a super cool edit. Let me look at who it was. It was Lydia, who is one of my favorite characters. Shout out to the costume designer this week because they finally have Lydia back on point in her wardrobe department.
Except way too short.
They're teenagers. I mean, Allison was wearing tights with poom shorts, so whatever. This one is from Infinitely Always, and she's quoting Isaac Leahy, for Erica, for Boyd, for everyone, because, like most Teen Wolf fans, I'm still kind of mourning them, and mad at the short end of the stick that they drew. And they never get brought up, so I really like that they did kind of actually remember them for a change.
Great. Continuity was great in this episode.
Definitely.
Continuity and confusion. Those were the fairies that came through.
Oh, we have a new theory. Nice.
We do.
This one is from got to my cactus salad, my caustic salad. Okay. Yes, it's Tumblr. Don't worry about that. So what the bleep just happened to Styles? Did he just dissolve? Basically, I was thinking the same thing. Like, wait, why is he ill? And a really cool action video I want you guys to check out. It's called #feels:"devoid like the title of all reason or writing. It's by Ali Say of Wonderland. That's ALYSE of Wonderland. I don't usually do reaction videos, but this one is hilarious.
Very cool. And I have a video also. It's called Hey Brother, Hey Sister, that my friend from Ireland pointed out to me. It's by Heather, HEATHYR, and then Shay, SHEA. It's called Hey Brother, Hey Sister. It's a phenomenal video about the brotherhood between Scott and Styles and the sisterhood between Allison and Lydia. So if you like those relationships, it's one of the better ones I've ever seen. Awesome.
You found that on YouTube?
Yep.
Cool beans. Oh, and the edit that I was talking about, this one was done by Noah H. Sarnzy. I'll give it to Dawn and she can do it in her little post-up thing.
Perfect.
But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It's a really good use of light and color, which is a nice change of pace because Teen Wolf is usually the fan art's getting pretty dark because it reflects what's going on.
The entire Teen Wolf series is now red.
I know. And then the most reblogged GIF of the week is Styles knocking over the game that he was playing with Mummy Mouth. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I saw a lot of that, and also a lot of Derek with his big eye grin right in Argent's face.
Yep.
Both of those were classic.
Oh, and the best meta I saw was from the Geek Mode. They were comparing Dark Styles to Heath Ledger's Joker performance.
Ah.
They were doing some side-by-side screen caps and stuff, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yep. And and the last one is from, yeah, never mind. Somebody asked me, actually, in my Tumblr box, it's like, so they found Styles' body, but, like, what, is he actually in there? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Ask Jeff. I don't know.
Which Styles took Lydia? That seems to be the big question for me.
I think it had to be Dark Styles, because she's a banshee. She's going to be abusive to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
So, yeah.
But, my other favorite one that was going along is, Tyler Posey and somebody I don't know carrying Dylan O'Brien, who's like looks wasted, to be totally honest. And they said, "This is me going to school on Tuesdays after Teen Wolf," and it like went everywhere. I think it started in Tyler Hoechlin, or however you say his name. I apologize. Army, but I'm not quite sure because I saw it all over the place.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, right. The review stuff. Actually, Hypable is knocked down to honorable mention this week. I really loved Den of Geek in the #1 spot, and then TV.com is #3 for me this week, which is very interesting. I usually don't go over there. And then actually, there's some pretty cool stuff on IMBD of all places.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Teen Wolf is taking over.
Good for them.
Oh, and another honorable mention is TV Fanatic, because their title was 2 styles are better than one. Automatic points.
Yeah, they get bonus.
So, yeah, that was the critic reaction for this week. Tons of great stuff in the Teen Wolf fandom this week. I mean, they were busier than usual, and that's saying a lot.
Well, it was an episode that you could sink your teeth in. I think everybody was relieved that we got back to our main characters after the last episode. So that seemed to be the feeling that I was getting through most of my tweets.
Yeah. Well, the gang was all there again. Like, even Douche Dad. Which he might not be a douche now. I don't know. I'll still forever be a douche. I'm checking the email right now. I doubt we've got any, so.
All I know is that, everybody was there. Everybody was either crazy or dumb in some part. And, basically Lydia saved the whole shebang and then, poof, she's gone.
Yeah.
That seems to be Lydia in a nutshell for the season. Lydia saves the day.
That's just Lydia in general.
Yeah. But now we're not going to contact her at all.
I don't know what's going on with that. I guess because season 4 is the rise of Lydia. Hopefully the Banshee and the Hunter.
Yeah. Something going on. I don't know. I'm looking forward to Lydia.
Definitely.
Do we have any listener feedback?
No, I looked. We don't.
Okay.
If you guys do want to send us some, though, I'll just put this right here. You can find me for the West Coast live tweets at Beacon Hills Pod and Dawn for the East Coast.
I'm on the East Coast, and I'm at DAHNE1. We have lots of fun talking about Teen Wolf, so come and join us, whichever coast you're on.
Our email is teenwolf.smgpod@gmail.com. Our Tumblr is welcome to beaconhillspodcast.tumblr.com. And you can find us on the Southgate Media Group's website at
southgatemediagroup.com/
welcome to Beacon Hills.
Yep.
Yay! I got them all in. So we really do want to reach out to you. The season is coming to a close. It's going to be bananas. We're looking forward to answers, predictions, theories, anything to help us make sense of this.
How you're going to make it through hiatus, still telling you, I'm going to be and this will be my first in-between season hiatus for Teen Wolf, so I'm pretty much a hiatus version for the show. Need some help.
It's going to be a long one, too.
It is.
Poor Dawn.
Oh. So you have any shameless plugs this week?
No more so than the usual.
Yeah, me either. It's kind of busy this week. It's my busy time too, so I will be cutting back a little bit, but if you have questions, you want to talk TV, I'm always up for that.
Definitely. Oh, or you can just leave it on the Facebook and we'll get back to you. You just go to facebook.com, type in Welcome to Beacon Hills Podcast, because it's super long, so it's just the easiest way to do it. And we'll get back to you. I'm actually on Facebook a lot more because I'm content creator for 8 different pages now.
Woohoo!
So, I Dawn might beat me to it, but I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I hate Facebook, but for you guys, definitely gonna go check.
So that's about it. Okay.
All right. Well, that is a wrap up on s3e22 Devoid. I hope you enjoyed it, and our special guest host. Don't forget to go to her page also. And until next week, just figure everyone's possessed and out to kill you. It's easier.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.